Hello, this is Pablo Garcia from Stockholm. I guess you've seen some of my videos or my presentations before, so I'm not going to present myself this time. But I'm going to talk about some tools that we can use as testers that are equally important actually as the testing tools or processes and ways of doing things. I'm talking about tools we can use in our communication. Testing and getting information from our results is 50% of our job. The other 50% is how to communicate those results. And this is just small tricks that you can use that are actually tools that are really powerful, really powerful. I'm gonna get to the first one. So this was one really important finance system here in Sweden. Really important. It was strict direct under the Swedish National Bank. They had a complete overview of the bank, and they were risk assessed that if the system was down more than 6 hours, Sweden would have economical problems, issues with it. So it had to be up, everything had to work. I was taking in to make a proper test plan for the new system that was going to be bought by a vendor. And when I was done with my preparations and looking at everything regarding the tests, I came to the project manager. He was a tall guy, he spoke English, and I told him that, we need 6 months. Okay, we're back again. So this big project manager came up to me and I spoke to him and I said, so after my assessment, we need 6 months of testing done to make sure the system actually follows the National Bank's rules and that it's good enough in all the test levels that we have to work out. And he looks at me and he says, you get 3 months. And I go, well, I said 6 months. And he looked at me again and he says, you get 3 months. And I was just fed of it. It was just enough. So I just took off my glasses, looked him up in his eyes, in his face, and I said, it was a very tall guy. Do you feel lucky? I said. And he looks down at me and says, what do you mean by that? Well, I mean, if you're lucky, you don't need test. So how do you feel with this vendor or provider of software? Will they make any bugs or not? And then I just got quiet. It took 25 seconds or something before he answered. And he looked at me and he said, you get 6 months. So what you really need is to remind people why they want testing and why they need testing. So don't be afraid of that, to take it all over to one end of everything. You can say, do you feel lucky? There's actually a metric called the lucky coefficient that you can use also. So that's the first one. It's really good. Do you feel lucky? Because if you're lucky, you don't need tests. So what's your experience about luckiness? That's the first one. The second trick I'm going to speak about is the okay problem. And it's more like don't fall into this pit because it's really hard to get out of it. And it's I'm not going to say dangerous, but it really hurts when you do it. So a person comes up to you and says, you have to test this too. Many times they're serious or they're even angry and they say, test this too. And what does normal people do? They go, oh, okay, okay. You accept something. So the problem that you did then is that if you don't do an assessment, if work is added to the work you're doing today, if you don't make a short assessment or some time regarding can you fit it within your time frame, within the hours and the work you're doing, if you don't do that, you cannot promise actually that we'll be able to do it. This is what happens to people. They get more and more jobs, and every time they say, this is your job, you're the tester, test this too, and they go, okay, okay. So if you do that, you will just drown in work and you don't get anything done. So understand your promises. So what should you do if somebody says, test this too, or make test cases for this too? So the first thing that you have to do is you have to take something called a pause. Like somebody adds to your work, it doesn't matter who does it or in any way, you make a pause and you stop all communication that second. And the first thing you think is, will this be automatically fitted in the work I'm doing? Or do I have to do a replanning to know if it's okay or not to do this work? Take that pause. And after you've done that, you have to answer. And 99% of the times, the answer should be, you know what? I don't know if it's possible to do it within the time plan. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Latest, and I always say latest tomorrow morning, for example. That gives you the time and the time frame to actually make an assessment. Can I promise this or not? Because if you start promising, you will just get, you know exactly what I mean. You see people around you all the time that just say okay and yes and yes and okay without actually thinking about it. You are going to be hurt by it because you won't do any, I mean, you won't stop working. You will have more work than you need. The product and the systems will also be hurt from it because you will not be able to actually test as much as you planned in the end and over time. You will not be able to make a proper test design and write proper test cases for it because you don't have time, because you promised things that were not, you actually couldn't take in. There's another thing I want to add to this one too. So it's good to have a list and checking out, what do I use my time for? So how many hours do I use for every activity? Test design, planning, talking to people, helping help desk, for example, to figure out what the bugs really are, talking to developers, and have that list of things, of activities with you. So when they say, do this too, and then you say, wait a second, I'm sorry, but I have to think about it. I'll get back to you to see if it fits in the current time plan tomorrow. And they will go, no, you have to do it now. Then you just go back with a list and say, good, I'll do it. But what should I not do instead? Should I not help desk? Should I not work with the developers? So this communication is really important so that you make sure you make room for the work that you have to do as a tester or a test manager. Really important. This is a really important one too. The fewer words you use, the more important each word becomes. It's like somebody gave you a bag of importance, in the morning, every day. And I say every day, mainly it's actually every day. You get a bag or a plastic bag full of importance, So if you use less words, you can distribute this importance on these less words. So every word is actually more important than if you divide it in many, many words. Every word will just be tiny importance for it, because you have to put this importance all over all the words you use during the day. And if you think about it, everyone has persons around them that just can't stop talking. The people that are around you. You just after 3 sentences, you just go, your ears go and closes down, and there's no important stuff talking. In their words and what the things they say. But so what happened to me actually? What happened to me is actually the less I talked. This was I worked for Ericsson for many years, and the last year I actually tried this thing out of speaking less and less and less every day. I only said the most important words, the most important sentences when I really needed to. And people started to listen to me even more. And in the end, the last months, I was so quiet that we could be 20 people in a meeting, and everybody was speaking, and I would breathe in air and go, and you could see the faces. They go, oh, Pablo is going to speak. It has to be really important for him to speak. So try that out. The less you speak, the less words you use during the day, the more importance each word gets. Okay? And try it out. It really works. And the last tip I'm going to do, this tool is actually, it can be really dangerous. So you have to promise me to use it for a good purpose, not bad, okay? But the power of silence. If there's 2 persons communicating and one person goes silent, stops talking, for example, the other person, the person that just said something, they will feel nervous because they don't get anything back from the person that's quiet. They don't know if it was taken in a good way. They don't know if they are understood, for example, and it makes them nervous. So this is something you can use if you need more information. So if I speak to someone and they speak and I'm the last one to speak, and another person goes quiet, then I will go like, and I go to speak. I've seen people use this when they want higher salaries. Please don't use it then, okay? It works. But Don't use it then, because I'll tell you in a second the dangers of it. But use it when you're not getting out all the information you need to do your job. Okay, if they walk around everything, just use silence. Let them talk last, and then just go silence and go numb in your face, and you'll see within 15-20 seconds they will give you more and provide you more information. So why is this dangerous? Well, persons that don't get response and get input about how they are perceived around them, they will get really nervous. And since we have a machine in our head saying, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, I mean, you know that we are our own biggest, sorry?
Critic.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Rika. We're our biggest critics, you know, the criticism that comes inside, I'm not good. And it just amplifies if you don't get the input back. So if you would do this to your surroundings at work, many of those people would get actually psychological problems over time, and they would probably get sick in their head. So it is a very dangerous thing. It's very manipulative, yeah, very, and very dangerous. So be really careful when you use them, okay? And I really hope that with all these small tips, you are able to boost the work. And just, you don't have to test more, just communicate better. And if any questions, just let me know. Send me an email. Take care. Bye.